Hello and welcome to weeks 10 to 12 in Mat-10069, Mathematical Communication, Investigations and Problem Solving. This is where we're up to now in semester 1, so we've done all of this on the left, weeks 1 to 9, and we're now at weeks 10 to 12. Remember from week 4, or 3 and 4, we started to look at group projects that would help us to prepare for group working, team building initiatives that you would encounter in employment, in assessment centres, etc. And we're now heading into the last group project of the module, which has a business problem solving direction. Okay, so this is going to take place over the next 3 weeks. Remember you've done group project 1, you've done group project 2, they were 20% and 40% of the mark available for assessment component 1, which is actually 40% of your final mark for the entire module, with the other 60% coming from semester 2 next year. And this group project 3, well, this forms 40% of this available chunk that goes towards your final mark. Okay. So what is it that we have you doing in group project 3? Well, you're going to work together as a group to solve a business problem, essentially. And this is quite typical of what you would encounter anyway if you went for a graduate job with a company that relies heavily on data analytics, and a lot of those are within business. Okay, so this is going to take place over the last 3 weeks of semester 1. So use the remaining time to really get as much as you can from this last part of the component 1. I've changed the teams once more. You should see these within MS Teams. Try to touch base with everyone in your group before you have to meet in a session this week. And these teams are fixed like this for the next 3 weeks. So what is it that you'll be doing? Well, again, it's another open-ended problem. Remember, we sort of departed from doing problems which were on the rails, had a clear structured logic in how to follow their solution and a clear sort of answer at the end. We've moved away from this. This is because in employment, this is what you're typically exposed to. A lot of problems which are open-ended but require you to use your skills, both individual skills and team working skills, in order to develop a solution to some problem, an appropriate solution. Okay, so this focuses this project on data analytics, which has a benefit of trying to improve some business model or business performance. What's the end output? Well, it's a 10-minute presentation, and again you have a choice whether to do this in person or via a video which you record, say for instance via MS Teams. The peer assessment and project journal should also be completed for this project because, well, you know what happens if you don't complete it or complete it badly. It starts to detrimentally affect your individual score. Okay, so remember, this is what you've got to do by the end of the 3 weeks, and it's focused on this. Right, so how are you going to find out what the hell it is that you're doing inside this group project 3? Well, I put up the usual assessment brief, the Kiel assessment brief, to remind you what the group projects are about in this semester, but I've also put a detailed briefing document on the KLE, similar to what you have for group project 1 and group project 2. You just got to sit and go through this and understand what to do. In there, there'll be some suggested activities. You've also got to get the Excel spreadsheet that's been put up on the KLE. After all, this is the thing that contains all the data that you're going to have to do the so-called data analytics on. Okay, so you'll do these activities. This will enable you to gather relevant data and understand what data you are trying to gather. That's a very important thing, by the way, understanding terminology that businesses use and what this reflects in terms of data gathering. There's an aspect of this in this problem, e.g. bounce rates. Okay, check it out and try to understand it. You choose how to analyze that data in the spreadsheet, and you try to use that analysis and the outcomes to address some sort of perspective that you are interested in. This will help you generate your narrative, and you have to develop this narrative to address 3 important questions this business is asking you. Okay, you are being asked to investigate 3 important aspects by some business. You've got to use all this analysis to at least develop some sort of solution and a good narrative based on your analysis. And remember, you can't just fly in with conclusions from nowhere. All conclusions have to be justified. And that when they say justified, it means based on rigorous data analysis coming from the Excel document. Okay, so if you're going to choose, by the way, to do a video presentation, then what you need to do is, well, I'll put up the old creating videos folder in the KLE under this particular project. You had that last time, I'll put it there again. You got to go to that detailed briefing document and understand what you need to do. In particular, it's got a lot of advice on how to form and deliver presentations, which is going to be very useful for really maximizing the mark for this last part, this last output, which is presentation only. But you can choose. It can be in person or it can be a video presentation. If you're going to do a video presentation, then what you need to do is simply develop your slides, create the PDF of these and leave a link to the video recording, which is the presentation of those slides, and put this on the title page for your slides when you're submitting to the KLE. If you go for the in-person presentation, simply submit your slides and ask or arrange a time with the lecturer to do the in-person presentation for this, and this should take place in the last session of the week 12. Okay, one other thing to add. Whatever you decide, whether it be video presentation or in-person presentation, what you need to do is let the lecturer know in week 1 of this project, the first week, what you intend to do. So it's clear by then, by at least the end of week 12, what it is you'll be submitting and doing. Okay, more on that in a bit. So yeah, if you want to find out what this group project is all about in a bit more detail, you're going to navigate to the KLE. This is the homepage for the module. This is the typical module or course content area. You need to scroll down there. If you scroll down, you'll see the things that we've already tackled, and now there's a new item, which is this. Simply click the chevron, it will unfold, and you can start going through the items in numerical order. Okay, so that's it, really. A few more things. Next 3 weeks are going to work like this. So you're going to work in groups and labs and use MS Teams as usual to communicate with each other outside of scheduled sessions. Use that detailed briefing document to guide you and all the other materials on the KLE to support your preparation of the final output. Remember, it's not just about execution, it's about planning as well. So this first week of the project, get together, make a clear plan on what you're going to do, who is going to do what, and make sure that you also put this into action. But most importantly, don't just rely on an action plan. Get your risk strategy together. What could stop you from submitting in the last week? Or even progress on this project as you go along. This should be a detailed set of risks. This should come with some sort of risk mitigation measures. And you should be reviewing this each week when you review your progress on where you are throughout the project. This is what program or project management is all about. And this is essential, especially when you are dealing with things which may be not in your control. Okay, that's group dynamics for you. Okay, so yeah, we put the deadline and what's going to take place on the sessions in the KLE below this video in a few of the items. Please read. Don't forget to do this. Make sure you do the peer assessment and the project journal. in MS Teams. Not doing these is dramatically influencing the ability to give individual marks, and so you are actually impacting negatively this process, and you will be penalized as a result if you don't do them. Again, submit the slide presentation as a PDF. If you're going for video presentation, that's got to have the link on the title page, the first page. If you're not going for video presentation, simply arrange in-person presentation on the final session of week 12. Remember this one: poor team or individual planning is not a reason for late submission. I've told you about organising plans, action plans, and risk mitigation. Should be enough to get you through to the end of that week. How can I say, stress-free? Okay, so put that into action and it should work. That's all. So if there's any questions, feel free to ask in labs. Thank you. Bye-bye.